Hello everyone, my name is Elle and welcome to a long overdue update for my project Pan Porn. I don't know what happened. I was going through my videos to see what I needed to film and I was like, it's really been that long since a Project Pan Porn update? Okay, time to change that. So, as of my last update, I was only working on 2 palettes within this challenge, the Vida Loca palette and the Modern Renaissance palette. So I'll start with the Modern Renaissance palette. Both of these palettes I'm moving out of this challenge at this time, but I've done pretty well with the Modern Renaissance, and then we'll talk about the Vida Loca palette. So everybody knows the Modern Renaissance palette. Mine is pretty well worn, and I have a lot of pan on my palette right now. It's kind of insane when you look at what my palette looked like at the last update and then what it looks like now. Yeah, I've made quite a bit of progress here. Again, I was really just trying to hit pan, but some of these shadows I ended up using more. So I had hit pan on 4 shades at my last update, and I have now hit pan on 10. So I hit pan on 6 more shadows since my last update. This palette is ridiculously easy to hit pan on. I mentioned this in my last update, but it really is. It's so soft. And like I said in that last update, it's not very satisfying. Yeah, it's frustrating when you don't hit pan on a shadow you've really been working on, but it's unsatisfying to hit pan on a shadow that you weren't really trying to. And that's kind of been the case with this palette. I really have not tried incredibly hard, and it's been incredibly easy. So the shades that are different that I hit pan on, Golden Ochre, Burnt Orange, Primavera, Red Ochre, Warm Taupe, and Cypress Umber. So I didn't really do anything super exciting with these shades. Primavera was a lid shade, so I'd have Primavera on my lid. I would either use shades from the Burgundy x9 palette in my crease, or I'd use shades from this palette like Burnt Orange, Golden Ochre, Warm Taupe, those other matte shades in this palette that I hit pan on. That was a very standard look for me. I was also using Honey Lust from the Burgundy x9 palette on my lid with something like Burnt Orange or Golden Ochre in my crease. Very simple, kind of boring looks, but I think that they're really pretty, and it's really good for sort of day-to-day use and wear. And I did use Red Ochre in my crease sometimes as well. It looks really cool with a gold on the lid and a red in the crease. I'm sorry I don't have like pictures and stuff to show you guys. I don't always take pictures of the makeup I wear day to day because it's kind of boring. When I do, I post it on my Snapchat or my Instagram, and I don't tend to save those photos. So if you do want to follow me on there for more like day-to-day kind of makeup, that's the place to do it. And these updates I really just checked. So, because I know I've seen some feedback from other people who really want like videos and pictures of like the looks that I do, and I just can't seem to capture my makeup like clearly in a photograph. I have a really hard time with it. Anyway, not the point. And the last shade that I hit pan on is Cypress Umber, and I would use that as a deepening shade, so in like the outer V, outer crease, you know, the outer portion of my lower lash line, sometimes just to smoke out my lower lash line. I actually ended up hitting pan on it by using it as a eyebrow filler. It was like really last minute. I was running late. I was just making a look with this palette, and I was like, I need an eyebrow thing, and I couldn't find anything. So I was like, okay, Cypress Umber, it's close enough. And I started to fill in my eyebrows with that shade, and then I hit pan on it. Really, it's incredibly easy. I would definitely recommend like an Anastasia palette if you guys are new to panning, because it's just so easy to pan. I don't want to finish this palette because I really love it, and I know if I finished it, I'd want to repurchase it. So that's not the point of panning to me. I want to finish stuff that I don't want to purchase, or at least not purchase the entire palette. And I really like all of these shades except for really Antique Bronze. Like Antique Bronze, there's like a dip in it from, I think I had dropped the palette. Like you can see a little kind of bit missing in Blonde Fresco, and then a little bit in Antique Bronze, but that's because I dropped the palette. Every time I drop makeup, I just say a little prayer before I open it, you know, just make sure it's all safe. But Antique Bronze is the one shade I don't really like. If you guys like that shade, let me know how you use it. The other shades, I'm kind of surprised I haven't hit pan on, like Raw Sienna and Real Girl. I'm really surprised because I feel like I use those a lot, but maybe I just haven't used them as often as I thought. I started using Real Girl a little bit more recently. I might reach for it here now and then. Like I'm not completely limiting myself to just the shadows within my challenge, because then I wouldn't be able to create all the looks I want to, but just it's nice having a couple of things I can reach for on the daily to do really quick looks, like the Burgundy x9 and the Modern Renaissance together. It's like really simple easy, neutral looks, and that's great. Okay, so the Vida Loca palette. You guys will probably have seen that I had a lot of fun using this. I actually wore this palette in a lot of my recent videos, like a lot of them. Anytime I was wearing color, I was wearing something from this palette. So if you do want to see some examples of looks that I did using this palette, I would highly recommend you go and check out some of my more recent videos. Some of the things that followed my last Project Panporn update, like it was all colorful and all using this palette. I was very inspired by it. On the daily, I didn't get to use it as much because I can't really do very elaborate looks because I don't have the time. If I had the time in the morning, I would be doing full glam. Like, I don't even care. I would totally do it because I love it. I love the way that I can kind of sort of transform my face with all this pretty makeup stuff, but I just don't have the time. You know, I don't really feel like getting up an hour earlier than I need to do my makeup in the morning. Like, it's just not that important to me at that time of day. So I do really quick looks. Anyway, my palette is kind of lackluster right now, as in that I've only hit pan on one shadow. I think that's also part of the reason why I kept holding off doing the update, is because I really wanted to hit pan on one of the colorful shadows. The problem is there's so many of them. So I would just reach for a different shadow every time I would use it. I am actually wearing this palette on my eyes today. Just in case you were curious. I felt like it was like a goodbye for now. So I used Skulls, Synth, and Dark Wave. So the two, like the bright blue and the dark blue, and then the sparkly sort of highlight shade. That's the only shadows I used on my lid. So I had fun playing with this. So I definitely reached for some of these shades more than I did others. The most used shades were Swoon, Love, Synth, and Misfit. The bright blue that I have on my eye, the green, the light shimmery pink, which is actually a really cool sort of lid shade, and Swoon, the hot pink, because I really love a gold on the lid and a hot pink in the crease. But some of the other shadows I really did not use that often. I would go for the odd pop of color. I tried to use Echo because it's in my Rainbow Pride project pan, but I really just was kind of stuck. I couldn't really come up with a lot of looks that were quick with it. So I did feel like I got a lot of use out of it and I was very creative with it, but I just didn't hit pan. The formula is also very, very different. You cannot compare the Kat Von D formula to the Anastasia formula. The Anastasia formula is very soft, very pigmented, very, to use that term again, buttery. The Kat Von D is really densely packed and it's pigmented, but it's not soft. And you have a little bit more control with it that way. Like, you don't have fallout like you have with the Anastasia formula. Like, you place a bright color and it pretty much stays there, and it's really easy to blend out. And that's what I really like about it. But you also don't pick up a lot of product on your brush, and you don't need a lot of product. So it's really easy to do a full dramatic look with a lot of colorful shadows without actually using a lot of shadow. So I definitely want to revisit this palette again and try and hit pan on some shades. I will not be trying to finish it because this is like a one-of-a-kind palette, and I don't want to need to replace all these beautiful colorful aspects to it. I want to have this for as long as I can and get proper use out of it, but I don't feel like proper use necessarily has to mean finishing something. So if I have this palette for years and years and I'm using it and I love it, and then it expires and I haven't finished every last bit of powder, that's fine. You know, as long as I was enjoying it and I got use out of it, that's what counts. So when I was thinking of the palettes that I wanted to incorporate next, I went back to my viewers' choice options and the ones that you guys suggested, and I'm actually going to go with 3 so I can rotate around with them. So the Master Palette by Mario, it's a very fall-ish color scheme, but there's some shades in here that I feel like work really well with the Burgundy x9 palette, especially where I need some lid shades. So things like Hollywood and Kim, Fifth Avenue, Marina, even Paris. I feel like those are all really good lid shades that I can use with the crease colors from the Burgundy x9. So I'm not gonna be focusing on all these shades. Like, I'm not really inspired by like Claudia or Bronx right now. Like, those, of course, it's a blue and a green. But even some of these other shades like NYC and Muse, I just don't think I'm going to be gravitating towards those. Who knows? I leave my options open. And the Too Faced Sunny Sweet palette. So I already have pan on one of these shades from using it as like a lid shade. So again, my plan here, coconut cream will be a really good shade to set my eyeshadow primer with. So I'll probably be able to hit pan on that within a month. And then shades like Butter Pecan, I can use either as a highlight or as a lid shade. I really do like Caramel a lot. I think Caramel is a really beautiful gold shade, and I'll be able to have a little bit of that gold in my life again. And like Pink Sugar is pretty well used in my palette. I will probably get some use out of Pink Sugar. Some of the darker shades, probably not, but you know, that's not why I'm using it. I'm using it for those lighter shades, but maybe my mind will get changed as I go through and use it more and more. And the last palette is the Vice 3 palette, and I kept looking at this palette and I kept wanting to use it, and then I kept putting it back down because I was like, no, I'm focusing on other things. And then I went, you know what, I'm gonna put this in my project pan porn because I have been reaching for it, especially this column right here. No surprise, this is what I love. So I have hit pan on Sonic and Lucky already. I feel like I will get some use out of the other shades, Bondage, Alchemy, and Alien. There's a really cool highlight shade in Bobby Dazzle. There's some like bright pops of color here in Freeze and Dragon, so that'll be fun. I used Glass Sin with the Vice LTD palette and really liked it as a lid shade, so I feel like I can get use out of that one. Then there's these matte shades in this column, which I probably won't use except for Truth, which will likely be another good shade that I can use to set my eyeshadow primer. So I feel like with all three of these palettes working together with the Burgundy ×9, I feel like I have a lot of options and a lot of things that I'd be able to create. And as long as those palettes are right in front of me, I'll be able to create looks with them. And as you guys may know, I've been working through my makeup collection in general, and I really want to be able to try out more of my palettes because I feel like I might need to declutter them. I'm kind of tempted to look at them now and do a declutter, but I don't know. I don't really like to declutter things anymore without trying them, or at least thinking about trying them. It might sound weird to some people, but I feel like in the spur of the moment, I can say yes to decluttering something or yes to keeping something that I'm not really sure about. Like, I need time to sit on it. That's why my lipstick roulette has been so helpful, because I give myself 2 weeks to use a product, and if I don't use the lipstick, it's gone. And that's what's really been great about it. I have that time to think instead of just being like spur of the moment, because I know with some things that I would just swatch on my hand doing a declutter, you know, I could talk myself into keeping something or talk myself out of keeping something and then regretted it. So I really am trying to have that same sort of thought process with my eyeshadow palettes, so that I keep only what I want to have and what I'm going to use. I'm not going to have one eyeshadow palette. I like having options. I like having different formulas and different finishes and different everything. So I'm gonna have a lot of stuff, but I have too much right now. Like, it's impossible for me to use all that I have. Anyway, you guys probably already know all this. So that is everything for my update. Make sure to let me know if you have any questions, comments, or concerns down below. I will get back to you as soon as I possibly can. I am thinking about doing another palette bingo with the Vida Loca palette because I had so much fun with the last one. I actually filmed a couple, but I just didn't like how they turned out. Not the looks necessarily, but the footage. And now that I have a new camera, I really want to try playing around with like Get Ready With Me, more makeup style videos with it, and I feel like I have a better setup, or I'm trying to have a better setup now. So if you guys would like a Get Ready With Me or a tutorial or anything like that with any of the palettes I have, do let me know. I really appreciate when you guys do tell me. Sometimes for whatever reason I'm unable to create the look you guys are talking about or the look you request, but your feedback and your inspiration is so helpful and it means so much, so please don't stop. Okay, that's all I have to say. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope I will see you in my next video. Bye.